And let me ask you guys, where's the sale made? Is it made by the closer or the setter?
Setter.
It's the setter. So I want to give you the language of how you do this today. And it's been a great long while since I've trained on this. So for this, I'm actually going to do just a little bit of role play. I'm going to do this with Gage. Do you mind if I do that? Because I want the team here to be focusing on the numbers. And so I'm going to role play this whole thing and the game plan conversation. Let's just assume that this is a starter lead, that Gage ordered a book or something. Can we do that? Is that fair?
Yeah.
Hey, is this Gage?
It is.
Gage, Kris Krohn here. How are you doing?
Doing fantastic.
Sorry, I'm not going to be Kris Krohn for this sale because that's unfair. I'm Kris Krohn. Okay. All right.
Somehow it got cooler.
Gage, Kris here. I'm calling from Kris Krohn's social media organization. How are you doing today?
Doing fantastic.
Listen, brother, I'm calling you just kind of like that video I dropped from you from Kris. I'm contacting you because you ordered his Have It All book. And bottom line is, I'm assuming that you're interested in building wealth.
Yeah, of course. Why else would I be interested in
Yeah. So here's the thing. Kris asked me to personally call you. I train with Kris every single week. He's taught me how to basically contain his entire financial mind so I could put literally Kris in your shoes and say, okay, if Kris were financially starting over today but in your shoes, what are the exact step-by-step moves that he would make? Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And I want to ask you and I just want you to be really honest with me, because the reality is there are thousands of people that I need to help get in touch with, and Kris is going to take a handful of these people. He's going to give them his top resources, his top coaches, even sometimes access to his own personal cell phone, live trainings directly from him. And he only wants me to put that in the hands of the people that are really serious and committed. So I'm just kind of curious right now, with you filling that out, requesting the book, how serious are you about actually having someone like Kris step into your life and give you a financially life-changing experience?
Dude, 100%.
100%?
Yeah.
Then let me tell you how it's going to go. I'm going to take, 10, 15, 20 minutes with you. I'm going to ask you a load of questions. I want to understand all your finances. I don't care if you've got good credit, awful credit, good job, no job. I want to ask you about your finances and your money. And then from there, I'm going to tell you exactly what Kris would do. How does that sound?
Let's do it.
Pause. What are you noticing so far in this conversation?
Energy's high.
The energy's high. By the way, when I talk to people, do I bring high or low energy?
High.
Guess which makes me more money, high or low energy?
High.
Guess who people want to work with, high or low energy?
High.
Now guess what people don't want? They don't want fake energy. I can go high because it's authentic to me. And if someone literally wants to mess with my energy at all, I'm going to freaking come hard on them like, how dare you insinuate even for the tiniest little moment that I'm anything other than greatest human being on the planet. And I'm going to put people in their place. Now, Gage, as we continue this conversation, don't be a lay down, okay? I want you to play a little hard to get. Okay, I want you to be a little Kenya. I want you to be a girl that says, I want to date with you. Wait, I don't want to date with you. I want you to push back a little bit. But number one, you represent. There's a little bit of energy right here, okay? What else are you picking up on? Those of you online, offline, what else did you see in the first few minutes?
How many yeses does Kris have already?
You never ask a question that you don't know the answer to, so I'm always asking questions where their response should be what?
Yes.
Yes. All right. What else are you noticing? There's a lot, so speak up. This is your training.
You've framed how the call's going to go. You set the expectation.
I made sure that we were connected and he remembered who I was and what this is about. And then I could have done a little bit more, find out why the book and why this, but I sensed energy from him, so I decided I'd go right for the throat. And what I did is I gave him the opportunity. And by the way, guys, whether they order a book, whether it's 7-figure hustle, whether it's a free consultation, whether it's a partner lead, it doesn't matter what the lead is. The pitch is always the same. Thousands of people are reaching out to Kris, and Kris trains me every week to find a handful of people that he can work with. My job is to find out whether you just want to read a book and mess around a little bit like a lot of people, or whether you're actually serious and committed that if Kris came into your world, took you by the hand, trained you, gave you his cell phone, his top coaches and resources, is that something you take full advantage of or not?
Absolutely.
By the way, if you guys can't pitch the blast of the opportunity that well with that much energy, you got to rehearse and practice that one 1,000 times, because there's two parts of it. The first part is creating awareness of what it is, and then the second part is closing them on wanting it. And so part of it is, well, let me just share with you, Gage, a little bit why I'm contacting you. Kris personally asked me to call you. Yes, there are thousands of people reaching out to him, but he's asked me to find only a handful of people and basically perform a really cool financial magic trick. Kris has trained me to give you a Kris Krohn financial game plan, which means if I can help understand a little bit of your financial situation, Kris has shown me how to tell you, if he were you today and he woke up in your financial situation, exactly step by step what he would do to become a multimillionaire all over again. Would you find value in a game plan of what Kris would do if he were you?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so that's the first one is, do you want this conversation? I'm getting a yes. Then the second one is, well, here's what it's gonna look like. I'm gonna take a few minutes. I'm gonna ask you a whole bunch of financial questions. I don't care if you got good credit, off of credit, a job or no job or where you're at or whatever. I'm gonna ask you a bunch of questions because I just wanna know where you're at. And then I'm gonna tell you exactly what Kris would do in your shoes. Does that make sense?
No, sure
Does that sound fair?
Yeah.
Are you excited?
Yeah.
What did I just get?
3 yeses.
Yes, and by the way, when you get 30 yeses, what do you get at the end of the call? You get a yes.
Did you say 3 or 30?
30
Okay.
or 50.
We're already at 5.
Yeah, so I'm constantly asking the trial close questions. The trial close is every time you get a yes, that's a ramp up, because at the end of the day, if they don't want to do this, they're going to say no, but I'm going to give them every opportunity to say yes, and you got to get them in the yes frame of mind to even want to talk and connect with you. I'm selling them partially on my energy. I'm selling them on the fact that I'm an expert. I'm selling them on, all these different things so that he wants to talk with me. Anything else that you're picking up from this start conversation before we do a game plan? Anyone online? I want to hear it. If you're there, tell me what you got. What are you picking up? Yeah.
There's a genuine energy that's coming through that you actually do genuinely want to help this individual.
Yeah.
It's more than just a sales conversation.
Yeah.
You've prefaced it through your energy and through your questions that, hey, if you're the right fit for this, if this is what you're looking for, we're going to help you get to where you want to go.
Yes.
Right?
Love it. Perfect. All right. Go ahead.
It's also been something too that I've just absolutely loved that I've been able to do is it's all been truth. It's been 100% truth.
Yes. That's the really cool thing, is that the track record and the reputation is real. Mm-hmm. I love it. When you represent me, my invitation is represent me with appropriate energy. Sometimes people come across apologetic, and that's their stuff. I'm not an apologetic person. I'm inviting you to not be apologetic. Some of us lack confidence when we talk. I'm inviting you to lean on my confidence and not your own confidence. Like, represent me in every good way possible that you know you should. Part of succeeding in this game is laying aside the parts of you that's like, well, I'm not where I want to be financially, or man, I'm trying to look for my next financial level up. Our own insecurities keep us from selling at the rate that we can. So it's almost like you got to take those stuff and put it in a box and realize, wait, I got a game plan here. My game plan is to freaking rock out where I'm at in my life, make really good money so that I can invest and do these things. And at any point, you want to share your game plan. Listen, if it comes up, you have this real moment, because sometimes people will push and they'll ask you a question because they want to know if you're real. Yeah. They want to know if you're real or you're fake. And here's how you do it. When they start treating you like an object that is selling something versus a human, I will automatically stop, smack the conversation down. If I get lip service, if I get rudeness, if I get unconsciousness, if I get stupid answers, I'm looking for the first opportunity, and it's going to say, hey, can we just pause for a second? I want to be really clear about something. My name is Kris Krohn. I know it's a funny fake name. And I just want to make sure that you really understand what's happening right here. Kris Krohn has trained me to have this conversation with you, and I'm not sure you're taking it as seriously as you could have. Remember, thousands of people are trying to get in Kris Krohn's world, because I want to ask you this. If Kris was there, the one actually training you live in person, gave you his cell phone and other resources, first of all, do you think Kris wants you to win or fail? He wants you to win. And if Kris personally was selecting you, would he want you to win or fail?
Win.
So do you understand that this conversation is about determining whether Kris selects you or not?
Understand that.
Okay, I just want to make sure you're really clear on that. This is what I'm doing to bring the energy back up to where I need it to be, because the moment it dips, it's my job to fix it, because they've lost interest, something triggered them, mentally something's going on in the mind. It's my job to pick them back up and just say, hey, stick with me and stay with this, and I want to remind you how real this is.
I had a call over the weekend, and I had the same situation, so this is really rewarding that you're saying this, because the lady was very difficult on the answers, and she was just very resistant, and I actually stopped, and I was like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm trying to understand why you're making this so difficult. And then she's like, well, I think you're being rude. And I was like, I'm just trying to figure out where you're at with everything. She hung up on me and then tattle told on me to Mary Ann.
Yeah. By the way, I would rather you be candid and get in trouble than pussyfoot. So if someone were being resistant to me, now here's one of the things that you're gonna learn. I say very malicious things, but I never have malice in my soul. And it lets me get away with murder. So on the phone, without being a jerk, because I can come across like a jerk when I'm like, dude, why are you so resistant? Or it's, hey, can we just pause for a moment? I'm just sensing with every answer, question, resistance from you. And let me just share with you a little bit why that's concerning for me. It's concerning because I know that if this conversation, if I finish getting the final right answers that I need, I'm gonna have you talk to Cody on my team. Cody and Kris literally are together in Phoenix right now. They spend time together. Cody determines who Kris partners with. But when I go and talk to Cody, I have to report on your temperament. And this resistance is starting to concern me because I'm gonna be really upfront with you. Kris has the pick of the litter who he wants to partner with. Think about it. He's giving you his tools. Now I'm selling. He's giving you his resources. He's giving you his time. He's making the whole thing done for you. And so you can probably imagine he wants to have the very best partner he can, right? So when I go talk to Cody, I want to be able to tell him that you're excited and that you're open and that you're teachable and that you're willing to learn. And if you're not feeling that way, just tell me right now and we can end the call. But I'm telling you, based on what you're sharing with me, I really see something in you. I think you deserve to talk to Cody about becoming Kris's partner, but I'm also kind of concerned because I don't know if I can get him there with this level of resistance. That's called meta-communication. Meta-communication is when we talk about our communication styles. And anytime someone is communicating with the style you don't appreciate, we're gonna have a conversation about that. Not the objection. The objection isn't the problem, the energy is the problem. So I address the energy. What's your comment on that, Cody?
That's exactly what I was going to say. There's definitely a way to respectfully call somebody out, right? Yes. You kind of said it there. It's not without malice, and that all happens by having a good relationship that you start at the beginning of the call, right? If you can build a good relationship and you can and set the expectations and they know why you're on the call and what you're there to do for them, that gives you a little bit more, capability to call them out, right?
Yes.
But doing it in a respectful way, like Kris just went through there. That's the key.
So we're going to continue right now with the financial. I'm going to assume I got some financial information, and I'm going to make it up right now on the board, and then we're going to do a little how I would have the game plan. So I found out that he makes $60,000 a year at his job. I found out that he's 30 years old. Found out that he's dating a girl. Find out that he has good credit. He has bought no home. He has $35,000 in a 401k. He has $7,000 in savings. And that's it. That's all he's got. Is that fair? Now, by the way, is this person first of all, I found out also that his 401k has no rollover status. So he can't really touch it. He can't really borrow it. So how much money does he really have for me to play with?
$7K.
He's got $7K, which means what should I be focusing on selling?
Intro.
Either a $2,000 product or at most a what? A $5,000 product, right? Let's just say also that our conversation has really leaned more towards cash flow from business versus real estate, right? Real estate was the initial interest, but I asked him questions like, so what are you more interested in? That? Like, is it like, geez, I just want to own my first house and get started to say I've done it? Or is it, I want something on the side that can compete with my job and potentially take it over many times over because cash flow is my priority. Which of those two is your priority? And it turns out that making bigger cash now ended up being more important. So real estate started the conversation, but now we're going to have things turn and twist a little bit. And now we're going to pick up the dialogue. And Gage, listen, buddy, first of all, you did a great job answering all my questions. I also just want to compliment you. Like, I feel a positive energy from you, a good vibe, a hopefulness, and I felt no resistance as you were giving me a lot of difficult financial information. And I just want you to know that really bodes well for where we're about to go, because Kris really is looking for the individuals that are the most committed to their financial future. Does that make sense?
No, totally.
And I just get the feeling you're young. I get the feeling you're looking for a serious mentor, and I get the feeling that you want help. Am I wrong?
No, not at all. I'm looking for help in a lot of different things, and I think this is the way to do it.
So let me share this with you then. Kris has told me about people in your situation countless times. I know exactly what Kris would do. And if you have pen and paper, I want you to write down exactly what's going to happen, because literally, if you decide to move forward with this, you're going to meet Kris Krohn, shake his hand, and he'll tell you out of his own mouth that you're on the right path. What I want to do though is give you the game plan right now. Can I do that?
Yeah, let's do it.
This is what your game plan looks like. What I want you to do is I want you to write this down. I want you to write down Cash Flow Academy. And next to it, I want you to write $4,997. And this is a one-time upfront fee for everything that I'm about to explain. Do you have that written down?
Yes. No.
Okay, Cash Flow Academy. It's called Cash Flow Academy because guess what it's all about?
I'm assuming cash flow.
It's all about cash flow, because you know what? I know you want to get into real estate, but for me to get you in the game of real estate, the most important thing I do is you have a job paying you $60,000 a year. We need to figure out how to get you over $100,000 a year, which means we need to figure out how to build you some side businesses that don't take as much time as a job, that can actually threaten replacing your job. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I'm actually going to I'm going to hone in on three different ways that you can each individually make $50,000 to $100,000 a year. You do all three of them, you could be making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Does that make sense?
Sounds like a lot of time on my end.
Well, we're going to break it down for you. So I want you to write this down. Number one, next to Cash Flow Academy, I want you to write down 1 to 2 hours a day. So I am looking for probably 5 to 10 hours a week. And as I share with you what you're going to do at that time, let me just ask, do you feel that you have 5 to 10 hours a week if it could eventually replace your job or supplement your income or double or triple your income?
Yeah, but now you put it like the math terms, I could probably give 5 to 7. Like.
Okay, so that's within the range that I need to know, because if that's a no answer, this probably isn't for you. In other words, you're not going to get something for nothing. You're going to have to put in at least 5 hours a week to have the kind of earnings potential that we're talking about here. All right, the second thing I want you to write down is that you're going to be coming out live to train with Kris. He puts on multiple events a year. I want you to write this down. It's called Unleash Your Financial Destiny. And the majority of people that come are those that are participating with Kris because he wants to train you personally. So you're going to get that time with Kris where he can share with you his philosophies of how to succeed in business and real estate. He's going to teach you positive psychology. He's going to share with you the mindset of a multimillionaire. And I just want to ask you, if you spent time with Kris and you know what the dude is likely worth, what do you think that's going to do to you financially?
Change everything in my life.
Yes, that's why it's so important that I get you live with Kris. Can you see that?
Yeah, well, what is that like though?
So Kris puts on generally a 4-day event, and the next one's coming up in August, for example. And like I said, he does them every quarter. So August is the next one. If you can, I want you to come out to that one. And so it's 4 very full days. Kris generally starts at 9 a.m. and he'll go to 9 p.m. And the reason why he does that is because he wants to fully immerse you for those 4 days in understanding how wealthy people think, as well as teaching you the business at a far deeper level so that you can walk away with success. Does that make sense?
No, it does.
Okay, so I want you to write that down. And so, yeah, you got to either drive out or fly out, or you got to, get a hotel or something like that, so you have a little expense. But other than that, you and a guest get to share this 4-day conference. By the way, this conference is worth $3,000 and I got 2 tickets. So I want you to write this down. It's $6,000 of tickets for you to get this training with Kris. Okay, got it?
Yeah, I got it.
The second thing I want you to write down is that Kris is going to give you his 3 biggest money-making side hustles. Side hustle means that it's like an hour to 2 a day at max. And Kris has basically all 3 of them leverage you, the laptop, and the internet from home. And without going into great detail, if you've been watching Kris on social media, you know how sometimes he talks about, why don't you just broker leads? Let me give you a platform for generating cheap leads, broker them out, and start making hundreds to thousands of dollars of leads. Have you heard Kris talk a little bit about that?
Maybe in 1 or 2 videos, but I can't exactly recall.
So he's going to basically show you different ways of doing it. He's also going to show you how you can use AI to set up websites that you can rent to people for $1,000 to $2,000 a month or more, just like buying a house, except you don't need a $50,000 down payment. All you need is a few hours to put it together. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right? There's also another really simple one where if you want to know where people make tons of money, it's that all of your contractors online that are selling basement finishing jobs, kitchen remodels, remodeling houses, these things people pay 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 grand for. Kris knows the secret to generating really cheap leads online, and he shows you how to do it. That's why it takes so little time. And you basically just give the leads to these companies and get kickbacks. And these kickbacks can be hundreds of dollars to thousands of dollars and sometimes tens of thousands. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I'll probably have more questions like.
That's fair. That's fair. But the bottom line is, Kris is basically saying, if you have an hour or two a day, he's going to show you the simplest ways of building powerful cash flow and the kind that can, listen, I can't remember whether you love or hate your job. Which is it?
It's a love-hate.
Got it. So
It's just the time that I get into it.
if you were making $60,000 a year on your own, would you keep it?
Yeah.
Good. Then you'd have $120,000 a year. If the business were paying you $120,000 a year, would you keep it?
Yeah.
Okay, so you'd keep your $60,000 a year, 40-hour a week job if you were making 120 grand on the side? If you were making 200 grand on the side, would you still keep your job?
No.
At some point, you're going to walk, right? These businesses, Kris has people that are making anywhere from thousands of dollars a month to tens of thousands of dollars a month. And obviously, he's got some people that do nothing with it and they make nothing too. So I just want to be really clear. If you come into Kris's Private Cash Flow Academy, you mentor and train with him and he gives you all of the tools for success, are you really going to put in the 5 to 7 hours a week?
Yes, definitely.
Awesome. The third thing I want you to write down as a coach, because when you're done watching videos and learning from Kris how to do it, you're probably going to have some questions, wouldn't you imagine?
Oh, yeah.
Not one or two, but like endless questions until you're making money, right?
Yeah.
So I got to give you a coach that you have 100% access to. Does that make sense? So I want you to write this down, coaching. Okay? So that coach is there, and anytime you call in and want to work with them or whatever, they're basically there to serve you and make sure as Kris's coach that you're getting all the help you need. Does that make sense? So let's just hone in on these three things. Kris is going to be teaching you live, and he'd like for you to bring someone from your ecosystem. It could be a parent, a sibling, or a friend, or a business partner, or somebody that you want to share that experience with, because it's going to change your life. Nobody goes to a Kris Krohn event without having their life change. I'm just going to tell you personally, that's what happened to me. That's what happens to everyone that goes, and that's financially what's going to transform your life. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But then he's going to give you the business in a box, and he's going to give you all the coaching that you need, and this never goes away. It lasts forever. So it's not a 6-month program or a 3-month program. It's lifetime. I want you to write that one down. Now, this entire program is worth $21,782. And the reason why Kris is making it available for $4,997 is because if he gets the right person that he can really help have extreme success with, he wants to make sure that they're coming out of pocket as little as possible. They're paying enough money to have a high degree of commitment. And then as long as they execute, because execution is everything, that's how you're going to win. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Awesome. I want you to look at what you've written down there. And I just want to have you pause and reflect. Training directly with Kris Krohn during those 4 days. Having an opportunity to have Kris's coach at beck and call at your side, and have access to Kris's top side hustles, multiple of them for making money. And you can use any and all of them. How does that feel right now?
Feels really good. I'm excited.
The idea of making a $5,000 investment into yourself with the possibility of returns, not of 5 or 10 or 20,000, but potentially so much more. How does that feel?
Great. I got no complaints about that.
I can honestly tell you, Gage, that if Kris Krohn were here, and like I said, when you meet him at the event, you'll get to hear it yourself because you'll shake his hand, you'll connect with him, take a picture, but then have a convo with the guy. Let me just tell you right now, this is exactly what Kris would do based on your interest and based on exactly where you're at. And he built this program for you. Someone exactly in your situation that says, I don't got 50K to get into real estate, so I got to get to 50K. How do I do that? Well, you have to have some serious ways. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So how does it feel?
Feels like a great decision.
Let's pause. What are you learning, and what kind of questions do you have?
I just like how you did the price right up front. You didn't wait and do your full pitch and then say, oh, by the way, it's this. It's just upfront, transparent. It's gonna cost this, but let me break down what you're actually getting for that. So then there might be a little sticker shock, but then they can actually listen to what you're actually presenting them, and it builds so much more value.
I always love to start with price, and then I love to keep reinforcing it. And the more you talk after the price, the more they acclimate to it. If you do a long pitch and build all this value, and you want to drop the price at the end, you better have some bonuses after, or you better at least say what things are worth along the way. So if you're going to leave the pitch for the price for the end, you better say, this is worth $6,000. This is worth $12,000. This is worth $8,000. It's a total of $23,000, and today it's only this price. I better have something after Because when they hear the price, if you go right to, do you want to do it? People are going to hesitate. They're going to say, no, that's awkward. So the more time you have from price to talking, the more it normalizes it and helps it become habituated. Awesome. What else did you notice?
The re-emphasis of time required to do this.
Yeah, I think part of the time requirement is just making sure that it's real. By the way, do you know why I kept reiterating that? Because what was his only concern in this fake role play that we got?
I don't know if I have time.
I don't know if I have time. So guess how many times I'm gonna resolve it, and then guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna circle back and I'm gonna reinforce it. I do that when I have a concern, is that I address it and then I weave it back into the pitch throughout because I want to make sure that the concern continues getting taken care of. 2 more comments. What else did you get?
You control the conversation the whole time.
Controlling the conversation, right? If some people put in awkward pauses, and all you're saying is hijack the energy, hijack the call. You take this where you want to go. People just don't like awkward energy. So when you have a pause, unless it's strategic, you're basically letting them fill the void. And if it's awkward, they're going to build something awkward out of awkward. Yes. So part of controlling the call means that the moment they stop talking, I'm right down their throat with something new for their ears to hear. That's what controlling the dialogue means. No awkward pauses. What else? By the way, could you sense also part of that is the matter-of-fact tone? That's the matter-of-fact tone that we're talking about, and that's that confident energy that you portray. Any final comments from this role play? If not, let's give Gage a big round of applause. Thank you, brother. And guys, we'll do some more game plan training. How many of you would like to get some more financial and game plan training from me?
Yeah.
I will be back next week, and we'll keep bringing more of it. And next time I'm going to ask one of you to bring one of your scenarios that didn't go so well and say, Kris, what would you have done if the caller had been like this, acted like this, was in this situation? And I'll share it with you because I can close 90% of people. I can't control everybody, but I have such a high closing rate because I know how to talk to just about every single person. So bring a toughie next week and then we'll deep dive on that. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay, guys, appreciate you. Back to you, Marianne. Thanks, guys. Thank you.